Hey everybody, so for today's Thread Tech Tuesday, I was thinking with the holidays, it might be a good time to talk about hand sewing with metallic thread. Um, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this. Hopefully on your computer monitors, you'll be able to see it better because I tend to stitch with metallic threads kind of sparingly and tone on tone. Most often I'll use it as an addition to stitching with regular thread. So this is some regular sewing machine thread, and there's one strand stitched here with metallic thread, and the same on this one. I just did one strand of metallic thread, and it just may not show up well on camera, but I tend to use it as an accent with hand sewing. It's not the simplest for hand sewing. So the tips that I have are to think about the surface you're stitching on. This is a felted surface, needle felted. So it's quite easy to stitch through. I can use a big needle, which you want to use a big needle when you're stitching with metallic thread because you want it to protect that thread and not pull on it. You would not want to stitch metallic thread on something like a batik fabric that's tightly woven, at least not by hand. If you were working on something batik, I would think about couching it down. And I've even done some couching here. I just don't know if you'll be able to see. This is, I did a long strand of metallic thread here and then came back and just couched it in a couple different spots. And I tend to stitch a lot tone on tone, so it's more texture. So you can't really see the metallic thread in here, but it's here and it kind of reflects the light in person, which it just may not pick up on the camera. And I've been working on adding it to here, kind of in between these stitched pieces of just the straight stitched pieces there, just kind of randomly adding it in. But here, you can probably, maybe you can see this one better. So I use this a lot. This is a thread by Wonderfill. It's called Razzle, and it's a 12 weight pearl cotton, 8 weight pearl cotton with a metallic thread twisted in. That's a really great way to use metallic threads to twist it in with another thread, even a sewing machine thread or regular pearl cotton. You could kind of stitch two threads through the needle. Just because metallic thread is so fine, it doesn't tend to show up really well. And again, you're still better off with something on a bigger cone rather than these small cones, small strands. Now this one is by Kreinik, and it's actually a braid, so it holds together a little bit better. You can see with this one, I don't know what they called this one. See how it's just like that's going to drive you crazy hand stitching. So with something like this, you're going to want to use very short strands. I would do like 12-inch, cut 12 inches at a time because it's just going to start unraveling and be super frustrating. Something like this might actually do better couched on the surface. It's a little blingy for this piece here, which is very earthy. I just wanted to add some metallic. This piece is kind of about earth strata, and I was thinking the metallics would be the mica and the quartz and the sparkly bits of stone. And I might use this braid because it's black and brown, like a dark purpley brown. So it's sparkly without being too sparkly. This might be a bit much, but think about couching it down, or, and use the biggest needle you can for the fabric you're using. Think of another choice. If you're using kind of tightly woven cotton, you might think about just couching it on top, or using something like this where it's got the braid in. Now this is a rayon, so it is also going to, oops, I have a lot unraveled here. It's also going to fray out at the ends. So with the rayons, I tend to use a there's nothing wrong with it. It just frays out because it's a slippery thread. The same with this. It's not, there's nothing wrong with the thread when it does that. It's just the nature of the beast. So just again, use shorter strands of thread. Don't take, 2 feet off and try and use that. It'll just be frustrating. So to recap, biggest needle you can, so the eye of the needle protects the thread. And I would do a chenille needle again, or an embroidery needle. That would also work. And short lengths of thread. Big needle, short lengths of thread. Calm atmosphere, quiet music, maybe a glass of wine. Don't get frustrated. A little bit of sparkle is really fun to add. So have fun playing with it, and I hope this tip helps relieve some stress.